Hey, and welcome back to Factorio Tightening the Belt Megabase Guide. I'm Xterminator, and thank you for joining me again. We are out here by our outposts because I did a stream yesterday and I had my supporters come in and help out. So we set up almost 3 new outposts here. We have this one set up pretty much in its entirety. Then we have the copper over here, which is almost set up. I need a little more track, clean this track up and such. And then we got this patch almost set up as well, aside from belts and such too. So there's more to be done. Obviously we need more patches in this, but it was definitely a good start. So that's what we did yesterday. What we're going to do today is some more science builds. I think, like I said before, I know that some people don't really care about seeing like the building process on camera. I know some people do, but I want to show all the science builds being built on camera. Okay, I'm making sure I'm going the right way. Simply because, they're kind of the core to our base. I mean, they're not really the backbone, because that would be like the smelting and circuits and all that. But like, they're what we're actually going for production number-wise in the end. So I think it's important to kind of just show the building of those and show the thought process behind it and all that. So that's kind of what we're going to do today. Today we're going to work on blue science and purple science is my goal here. And really, they both should be fairly straightforward, hopefully. Oh, there's a car there. I wonder what this was. I thought it was like a patch of iron ore or something. I wasn't quite sure. But yeah, so where did I put? I don't know. I had a ton of beacons and stuff on me at one point. I'm not actually sure what happened to everything. Our train is somewhere. I actually have no idea where at this point. But that's okay. We also have some speed modules. I kind of just need enough to put into the beacons. Some productivity modules we don't have. Where is this train, actually? This is somewhat concerning. Oh, okay. I thought it was like in the middle of nowhere. Like, I thought it was in a cut piece of track because it only showed the one part. So I'm going to send him back. Blue science should be pretty straightforward. And the reason for this is because, theoretically, it should just be double the amount of assemblers as the green science. We needed 16 assemblers for the green science, and green science took 6 seconds. Now, there's all the beacons and stuff involved, but the blue build is going to be exactly the same amount of speed given to the assemblers, if that makes sense, right? So the greens were hit by 12 beacons with 4 prods in each machine. The blues are going to be exactly the same. So it's going to be the same speed machine. And the blues take twice as long as the greens. So then if you have, regardless of beacons and stuff, if it's all the same speed of the machine in the end, then you're going to need double the amount because it takes twice as long. So theoretically, we should only need about 32 of those. And I'm just going to check. Yeah, so my sheet says 41.5, but this is for 8 beacon setup. So 12 beacon should be about 32. Yeah, because, I mean, if we look at this, the green science is 20.8 at 8 beacon setup, and the blue science is 41.5, which is about double. So it would stand to reason then that this would be double. And I'm going to go ahead and I actually do need to go back. I need this productivity models in this train, and I get a feeling the train's backwards. It is. Of course it is. Doesn't really matter. Everything's filtered. This is why if you're doing something like this, guys, make sure to filter your wagons. This could have ended up very badly. Okay. Now this does have 3 inputs opposed to the 2 inputs of this. However, since it's so many assemblers, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to split them into 2 different columns. I don't want to do one column that's 32 long because one, that's just really long, and 2, feeding that is going to be a big pain because you would need like full belts of each input, right? Plus the output. If we split it into 2 columns, then we actually only need half of a blue belt of each input per column, which means, and this is why this build is so dang easy. I'm going to let me turn off my robots here. This is why this build is going to be so dang easy. If we take this guy and we do this, it is literally going to be as simple as changing the recipe on this. It is actually that simple, because we have two belts for input and we have a belt for output. And the only difference is just going to be, instead of each input belt having being a full belt of the same material, one input belt is going to be half something, whether it be engines or miners or red circuits. It's going to be two materials, one on each half, and then the second belt is just going to be half of a belt of the other third material. Pretty much all we need to make sure we do is just remember that we need to feed in, half a belt of each material here. So we're just going to go in and change this to blue. That is blue, right? Looked like military for a second under the flashing thing. And just to be clear, I am not doing military science. The military, and the reason for this is because, one, it's very expensive. I mean, in Megabase, that doesn't really matter, but it's expensive, and I really don't find the military late game research to be that important to me. Like at this point, all we have is the infinite bullet damage, infinite grenade damage. The artillery ones are pretty cool, but I don't really use artillery, to be honest, because I have nukes and personal laser defenses and stuff. Unless I'm doing like a death world or something, I find these upgrades to be pretty much pointless, because they're just, I don't use them. Now you could argue that the robot speed and stuff is pointless too in this base, which it kind of is. I'm just going to get up to like 10 just for like our personal bots. And then we're just going to pump mining productivity. And I mean, that's what Factorio is pretty much late game. I mean, that's like really the only important research, unless you're doing a death world or just something that is very heavily combat focused, or bot base. Bot base, you definitely want these high research bot speeds. But I just want to let you know, in case anyone was wondering, we're not doing military science in this base. Okay, so these are all blue, theoretically. So now, and again, the output should be exactly the same. Did I not fix this? No, I did fix it. I just didn't fix the first part. Sure, just do that. Have that be like that. Okay. So then now what we can do, I'm going to get rid of this miner blueprint, is now we just blueprint this. And again, we'll just know that, one belt needs to be half and half, and the other belt just needs to be half. So that's super easy. I love it when it's this easy. And we'll just do blue science. And purple science, actually, we may even have time to start messing around with yellow science, because let me actually dump this in here. Could I just want to put this stuff in here? Did I not? It's quite strange. I really thought I did. Okay. Then we can start messing with purple science. And this one right now should be quite easy as well, because it's only two inputs. In fact, really, I may not have even needed to get rid of that. Let me just check my numbers here. Okay, we're gonna need to do a little calculation on on video, which is fine. Show you guys just one more time. So these dudes produce, they take 14 seconds to produce. However, keep in mind, and I've mentioned it before, but so many people miss this, and I don't blame you, because I even miss this, forget it sometimes. They give you 2 packs per process cycle. So in essence, it's really actually only taking 7 seconds per pack to do that. But so for calculation, it's the same calculation we've done. We can, and this is just chat from the stream yesterday, we just do the output amount, which is 2 in this case. Normally it'd be 1 for most things. We divide that then by the craft time, which is 14 seconds. Double check that. Can't look at that apparently, but that's what it is. And then we're going to multiply that by 8, which is the speed of an assembler with 12 beacons, and multiply that by 1.4. And that is going to equal, if I actually do that on my calculator, 1.6. So it's going to output about 1.6 a second. So then multiply that by 60, 96 a minute, and right? Yeah, 96 a minute. And then we need 1500 and ironically 96 per minute. Divide that by 96. So this says 16.625 assemblers. Normally we round up to 17, but I'm actually going to go up again to 18 because it's an even number and it's going to make the output much easier. Kind of like we did with the green science, right? So I can actually put these back on now, tear up these assemblers, and apparently place some belts. Thank you, bots. Right, so this is only 2 inputs. It only takes 1 of each thing. So basically, I could have actually left that, but I wanted a new template, as it were. Really, we can actually probably just use this blueprint again and then just add 1 thing onto each end. This is what I mean, guys. This is really nice with these type of builds because once you make 1 or 2, you can pretty much use those almost exact same builds for the rest of them. And I'm mentioning this, because this is a Megabase guide. This is what I titled the series. When you're it can seem really overwhelming, right? When you're doing a Megabase, and it is kind of, at this stage. All this belt mess is actually really the most overwhelming part. These builds themselves really weren't that difficult. It's the routing that's a problem, but that's already over with. Anyway, my point is that once you do the smelting and the circuits and the routing for those, like in a belt base, or if you're doing a bot base when you do it via trains or whatever, the rest of it is actually really pretty simple. So just if you're having problems and thinking maybe you should give up, it's just too much. If you just get over this hurdle, the rest of it is easy. It's literally taken me maybe an hour to make all of these science builds, except for the yellow science is going to be a bit more difficult. But aside from that, you can just use them as templates, and this will just apply for a lot of stuff. Like the engine build, I can probably use a similar template from that to do electric furnaces and to do electric engines and to do miners and stuff, minus or plus a few extra belts. So it's really pretty simple. So I'm going to turn off my bots again. Really need a toggle switch. There's a mod for that, but we needed, what was it, 18? So really, I could take either one of these. Doesn't really matter. And we're just going to place this down. Actually, that's wrong. Because I need to add 1 onto each end. And it's important to note that the reason I'm adding 1 onto each end rather than adding 2 just onto 1 end is because, remember, we're alternating outputs halfway through, output sides of the belt. So if I added just 2 onto 1 end, I could do output on one side and then have the next thing output on the other side at the end, but that doesn't really follow the pattern, which would really annoy me. So what we're going to do then is just take a new blueprint here, just a quick one. Can't wait for those temporary blueprint stuff, that copy paste. So we're going to take this, although that's actually needs to change a little bit. There we go. Actually, all this kind of needs to change. Because this would be the end for this, so I just need to make sure we've got that all settled. Okay, so then now, boom, and then now we can get, oh, that's the output, we do actually need that still. This one, there we go. So there's this, and this can end here. Okay, so there's that one, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna clear this. We're gonna come down to one of these outputs on the other side, like this one. And we're going to stick it down at the end here, at this end. Although this guy did get a little bit messed up. That should be good. And boom. Okay, so now this is, again, this is still going to be fine. This belt is not even going to be full because in the end we're only outputting a red belt, right? So this blue belt isn't even going to be full. I know initially, the reason I made it, I just thought that in my mind. I was just like, oh dang, after adding this, is the output belt not gonna be enough? And it's like, oh, I'm actually outputting a red belt anyway, so it doesn't matter. It would be really, really great if you could change all the recipes that the things make in a blueprint. I know I mentioned this before, but it really would be fantastic. You know what else would be great? I'm full of suggestions. What else would be great is a hotkey to turn off the alerts overlay. I know you can use Alt to turn off advanced info, but that turns off everything and actually then doesn't turn off the alerts on machine. It would be really great, the no power, the no modules. If there was a hotkey to just turn off the overlay, not turn them off permanently, but just turn off the little flashing thing and the silly little module thing so I can actually see what the assemblers are making, that would be absolutely fantastic. I would love that so much. And there we go. So this guy is done, and this should theoretically then be 18 assemblers. And this build, this is fairly long. Like this is fairly long. This is the longest I would want to make a build. That's why I didn't do the blue science in one long section. Purple? Let's say purple science. I know these actually have names, but and there we go. And let's dump him in here. And then for yellow science, the reason this gets tricky is because, excuse me, it's going to be the same length as this because it takes the exact same amount of time and produces the same amount. But the problem is this actually takes 4 inputs. And with it being the full length, it will actually need like a full belt of each material. It doesn't actually need a full blue belt, but it needs more than a red belt. So basically it needs more than half a blue belt. Sounds a little confusing, but trust me, I need to be able to do a full blue belt. Even if it doesn't consume the full blue belt, it needs more than half a blue belt. So the issue is somehow getting in another belt for input. Well, and actually the build, never mind, the build just has to be pretty much entirely different. Because this cable gets really annoying. This build actually may give me a bit of a headache. This cable is where things get kind of a problem. Okay, well, if a blue belt can supply 40 items a second, I wonder how many cable does this use per second? Well, an easy way to figure out is do the same calculation, just don't factor in the productivity. That's how you figure out input. So just do 30 divided by 14 times 8. So this thing uses like 17 cable a second. So a blue belt of cable is actually only going to support like 2 1/3 or 2 1/2 machines, which means we then need to somehow get. I actually don't know how to do this, guys. I've never in my life made a beaconed yellow science build before. I mean, we have a yellow science build, but this is not beaconable whatsoever. Darn it. Wow. I may, as much as annoying as it would be, I may actually have to switch to an 8 beacon setup for this to work, but I don't even think that would work. I may have to consult some help from Mojo or JD Plays makes some really good belt builds. He made one, I think. Somebody made one in the Factorio thing that I liked that was belt based. Or if you guys have suggestions, it's not what I wanted. I actually wanted a deconstruction planner. Yeah, so this actually just can't be the same, which is kind of annoying. I'm gonna have to think on this, guys, to be honest. I cannot come up with something on the spot here for this one. Because getting that other belt in is gonna be really difficult. Mostly due to the like input and being able to underground and still grab from things. Because, I mean, there's room, like, I mean, I can show you. I should have not torn that up, but I'll just use a smaller one. Alright, bots. Back into the trash slots you go. So if we just, this is like the same thing, just to show you. So there's room in here. Like, I mean, there's room for like another belt here. But the problem is that it doesn't... Oh, does it? Okay, well, why don't we just do that, you idiot? Why would this not work again? I don't know. Actually, why wouldn't... Oh, no, this doesn't work because... Well, no, actually, yeah. Why doesn't this work? Am I just dumb? Oh. That's why. Because... this would have to go here. It doesn't go any farther. And it hits the beacon. That's why we can't actually run one through there. And pretty much the same applies this entire thing. Plus, we need to be able to get the cable in, which is a whole nother, like, we need to be able to have cable machines in this or something, which is a whole nother issue. So really, I'm a little bit stumped. This is going to be interesting. This is probably one of the hardest builds, actually. All the rest. So after we do these, what's left? We need electric engines. We need normal engines. We already have all the circuits done. We need electric furnaces. We need mining drills. We need speed 1s. I mean, this build is going to be, like, super simple. Ah, shoot. No! No, they ran off with my robots. It's my fault. I ran into lodging. Oh, darn it. I knew this day would come when that happened. So we need all that. What else do we need here? We'll need belts and inserters. Those are going to be super simple. Red circuit's already done. We're not doing military. Done that. Batteries we have yet to do. And that's pretty much it. And then cable will be in the build. So there's really not much left. And then, of course, the rocket builds. But they're going to be big, but they're not that complicated is the thing. So that's going to be pretty darn simple, guys. We're getting really close. Anyway, I think this is a decent spot to end it. I also need to expand power. We're at 21 minutes. Perfect. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to figure out a yellow science build, or if you guys have suggestions, I'm going to ask some people, and I'll either build it off camera because it may be really finicky. If it's not too finicky, I'll build it on camera next episode, and we'll do something else because I don't want 3 full episodes in a row of troubleshooting builds. But there you go. So I hope that kind of just gave you an insight into like the build process of these mega builds, and up until yellow science, that it can actually really be quite simple for this type of stuff. And anyway, guys, that's going to do it. As always, thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed and found it helpful. And leave any thoughts, questions you have down below. But until next time, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.